Yeah, my name is Fernando Rocha. I'm a percussionist. I teach at Universidade Federal de Minas Gerais. I teach percussion, mostly percussion, but also some courses on performance of contemporary music. Um, I studied, I did my doctorate at McGill in Canada. I did my master's here in Brazil at UFMG, and the master was in what was the title? I don't remember the title, but it was performance of three pieces for percussion that had some kind of open notation. Well, I started as a jazz drummer, so that's my first background at playing Brazilian music and jazz. So improvising was part what I was doing, and then I went to percussion, to classical percussion, and still in classical percussion there's a lot of repertoire that has, I would not say free improvisation, but it has a lot of open form or open notation or graphic notation or whatever. Um, anyway, so I have this contact with this repertoire. Um, when I was finishing my undergraduate, we have this percussion ensemble that was doing pieces for or creating soundtracks for plays, for theater plays, and no one of us was a composer. So basically, the way we did the track, we just meet for 3 hours, improvise, record improvisations, and following day listen and see, okay, what can be became part. And during the play, most of the time we were still improvising, but kind of improvising in that mood we got in that moment. So that was so the improvisation. Well, and I always liked to improvise. So when I did my masters, I decided to do open. So I studied three pieces, but I was doing a lot of graphic notation and playing a lot of pieces with graphic notation. So following that, I moved to and I was still doing jazz. I always did a lot of jazz, playing vibraphone, playing gigs, traditional jazz, all that stuff. Oh, then I went to Montreal for my doctor, and my doctor I was. So there are different things that happened. First, when I got there, I met Laurie Friedman. I don't know if you know Laurie Friedman, and I started to play a lot of Laurie Friedman there. So then first I met her because I took her. She has a class on that's free improvisation. So I got there. I decided, okay, let's take this class for improvisation. And I started to play with electronics. So on my work with electronics, it's mostly improvised. I like to build systems, program systems that I come and improvise. Since I'm not a background as composer, I prefer to just try a lot of effects and I build a system and then I go to stage and I improvise with that system. I think there are other things that help you to play that can be taught. I think improvisation might be harder, I don't know. But for example, I can take the example of Laurie Friedman class and was in free improvisation and I have people with different backgrounds and like undergraduate students that are first year and doctor students take the same class are very, and it was clear that some people didn't have enough repertoire to come and improvise and they were keeping repeating and basically like because they didn't went through learning their instrument, learning their pieces, even written pieces that will, oh, I have, well, in saxophone, for example, Laurie had on clarinet, all that string technique that she does, and well, but she played all the repertoire. She really played all the repertoire for clarinet, contemporary. So she had all those tools. So maybe it's hard to teach free improv, but I've been seeing a lot of people playing, and I just think they just keep repeating themselves all the time. And for me, this is really boring. There's those two ways to come to free improvisation, I think. One from the contemporary jazz or goes to free jazz. But in any case, I think somehow the person has a good knowledge of whatever instruments they decide to play or build or create something new. But I think with free improvisation, it's free people jump. Sometimes I could see people jumping too early and having nothing to say. That's in Laurie's Friedman class was so clear. Was so clear. Well, she had some ideas that I actually, when I do here, I took, but I do another ones. I like, for example, to start doing not only free, but doing some kind of graphic notation or some kind of structure improvisation with whatever. And I think sometimes this, especially people that never improvise, that helps a little bit because they're really afraid. Some people, so that helps. And Lottie used to do something and make sure we are trying different things. So okay, this piece is gonna be five. It's a suite of 5 movements of 1 minute. So you have to react to that, or this piece is only those. And but you have 10 people and you don't say who's going to be do. So you need to be, as you play, find those duos. So the way she structured was always, okay, that was different from when you play. When you go to play, we just go and play. And that's also something that I feel sometimes in free improvisations I miss. Like people, it's kind of getting too repetitive. I love to improvise, but I'm very critical, and most of the concerts I don't like, to be honest, because it became just exploring the same thing over and over, and it's kind of people don't prepare one special thing. Okay, this, like we do in classical music, you prepare a special piece and you practice a lot, and you come to play that piece. You have something to say because you did spend time with that, and sometimes I miss that.